let's start with you as the head coach of a Division I program. How are you able to foster conversations around diversity and inclusion on your team?
Yeah, I think that as head coaches at the collegiate level, and through sport in general, we're pretty lucky and fortunate to be able to meet so many different types of people from all different walks of life over the course of our careers as players and as coaches. So, not only is it something that we have the opportunity to do, but I think we have the responsibility to do is to foster these conversations that help our student athletes and our staffs be themselves, explore themselves, and be able to love themselves over the course of their time with our program. So I think that our staff makes it a really big emphasis to be able to get to know our players beyond just their number or beyond, just the colors of purple and gold and for who they are, so that when they go beyond these 4 years, they're able to do so loving themselves and loving the experience they have with those around them. I think that given the social climate the past year or so, and the conversations we've been able to have through not only what's been happening, with Pride Month, with LGBTQ, with Black Lives Matter, a lot of the conversations, as well as the pandemic, our program has really been able to dive a bit deeper remotely and in person at what these conversations mean, and how they affect each individual within, the UAlbany program and then the department as a whole.
Conversations have been such a focal point for us at a conference level too, as we're obviously hosting this IG Live chat. And again, I appreciate both of you joining us. And it was about 10 years ago where we really began to prioritize our commitment and mission, which now is known as the Spread Respect Initiative. So, Sophia, I want to talk to you about that and just how you have I guess in past years, engaged in Spread Respect, either with Spread Respect games that we've held or conversations with your team, SAC, things like that.
Yeah, I think we definitely had some events like going to the Spread Respect games. I definitely learned a lot going to those games. And we also had some SAC events that we were able to start up some conversations. But I think the most impactful one that we did, it was not exactly a part of Spread Respect, but we kept in mind the core values of Spread Respect when Coach basically put together pretty much herself the Run for Alana event, where we raised awareness talking about LGBTQ plus and mental health and suicide awareness. And I think that stirred up a lot of conversations within my family and friends that I wasn't having before. And before that, I wasn't necessarily aware of it myself. So that was a really significant event for me and my friends and family.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Sophia. And I know this hits close to home to you. So can you just shed some more light on the importance of being an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Well, and personally, before my experiences with my sister, I wasn't involved in advocacy at all. And there's a little bit of regret there, but I think that this was a big learning experience, that I do have a voice. Like my sister always said, you have a powerful, incredible voice, and it's important to use it. So previously we did 2 events for Run for Alana, and then currently this month, I'm focused on trans activism in sports. I currently was not so educated on the matters until things were occurring. New bills were passed that unfortunately hurt a lot of people in the trans community, and I didn't really know exactly where I stood. It was kind of a wishy-washy area, being a female athlete, and there's conversation of, oh well, if trans people are playing in women's sports, it could possibly hinder women's sports. But I think being able to have conversations with my friends and do research about it, my opinion has completely changed. And I think it's important to include that, like the T in LGBTQ plus, like there's a lot of activism for like queer people, but like we have to focus on like the community that's getting hurt the most. And right now it's trans with like I actually looked it up. There's 28 bills being passed to prevent trans people from competing in sports. So it's important that we show our support for them right now because I think they're the ones that need it most right now.
I appreciate those thoughts, Sophia, and I'm certainly learning just listening to you. I think that's an important piece, right? Is just learning and continuing to educate, which we've talked about throughout the course of this Spread Respect initiative, and it's always growing as you're talking about with these bills. So really appreciate the insight there. And Lee, actually, one thing you said earlier this week via Twitter was just emphasizing the importance of continuing to advocate for the LGBTQ plus community past the month of June, past Pride Month. We're emphasizing this a lot right now, but why did you say that? What I guess is just the role of an ally on a day-to-day basis outside of Pride Month?
Yeah, I think as coaches, we tend to be the biggest advocate for our athletes in any facet, whether it's across campus with academics, whether it's out there, across the conference and with getting postseason recognition, and whether it's just in the overall Albany community and using that platform to advocate for what we do on a daily basis as athletes. And I think as athletes, we have the ability as a department to be the biggest advocates for our university and the people within it. So I think being able to use our unique platform as recognizable members of the community at the university, as well as, across the capital region, we have a little bit of a responsibility to not just recognize Pride and celebrate Pride in the month where it's designated, where it's hashtagged, where it's tweeted every day, but in the interactions that we have with our community. And so it's not just about accepting people and talking about it when it's the hot topic, but it's about celebrating those people and the diversity that we have on our team in our program each and every day. So we talk a lot about in our program how those are micro and macro level interactions. It's what we put out there, but in what we put there for recruits, for alumni, for people to see about our program. But it's also in the daily interactions we have in the locker room, on the bus, in conversations in our coach's office. And if we're not doing that day to day, then we're not truly loving one another and spreading pride in the way that we should.
Well said. Really well said, Lee. And Sophia, I want to go back to you just in terms of being, on a Division I women's soccer team, having these conversations and, being an ally. How do you support your teammates, fellow student athletes, anyone on campus, maybe friends, who are part of the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, I think it's important. And well, as a team, I think we've created an environment where we can talk and like share our stories. So it's important to, like, on my team, we're having a lot of fun. We're really goofy, but it's important to have those like serious conversations on the day-to-day, like Coach was saying, on the micro level, being able to listen for one and listen to your teammates' experiences, and then also being able to share a piece of your own experiences, and so that they know they're in a safe environment and that they can share if they want to as well, and to start that conversation. I think personally, I would like to get more involved in like on-campus resources. There's Rainbow Soul, which is for queer people of color on campus, on UAlbany's campus. So I would like to become more involved in those campus clubs and stuff. But I think where I'm at right now, we've done a pretty good job starting a conversation, and I think it's important to continue it, like Coach was saying, beyond Pride Month.
Absolutely. I got one last question for both of you as we wrap this up. And again, I really appreciate the time. But as we talk about Pride Month specifically, can you both share what Pride Month means to you, and I guess how you're remaining committed to supporting the LGBTQ plus community not just in this month, but beyond. And Sophia, I could start with you again. We'll go right back to you.
Yeah, I think beyond this month, like I said, getting involved in your community, whether it's on your campus or in Albany, we have a couple resources for LGBTQ plus. And then also, like I was saying before, becoming an advocate for people that can't always advocate for themselves, like trans student athletes. And I think that's where I want to focus my energy towards going forward and becoming more involved within that.
Yeah, I think for me, Pride Month is all about being able to learn, to listen, and to celebrate. I think that so much of it is gaining information, as Sophia alluded to, some of the facts and the figures and the legislation that has come to the forefront in especially recent months, recent years. But it's also to listen. We talk all the time about how we can spit facts and we can, tell everyone why we feel the way that we feel. But in order to really learn, it's a two-way street, and being able to learn and listen, whether it's regarding Pride, whether it's regarding Black Lives Matter, whether it's just regarding the daily interactions you have with your teammates. Too often we don't listen to one another. And I think lastly, it's to celebrate, and it's celebrating the diversity, it's celebrating the individuality, and celebrating the fact that in a team, in a program, in a department, in a university, so many different individuals with different sexualities, different upbringings, different socioeconomic backgrounds are all coming together for different commonalities that we all share as well. So let's celebrate that. And I hope we can do it the rest of this month. But I know that the focus for me is to continue having the conversation, because it's not just a conversation when it's cool to have. It's a conversation that needs to be had and needs to be heard continuously.